Hi guys, it's Pat, your German finance buddy. In this video we will talk about an easy way to recognize the long-term impact of some of your regular but non-essential expenses. Like that everyday skinny vanilla latte at Starbucks. I'll bet that these small daily, weekly or monthly expenses keep you further away from your financial goals as you might expect. But with the simple trick I'll share today, you can compound them over 10 years to recognize their true impact. I first read about this approach about 5 years ago when I came across the blog of the legendary Mr. Money Mustache. Since that time that approach really stuck with me because I was shocked how much money was missing in my portfolio. And now we will check how much money you'll be missing in 10 years because of your non-essential expenses. These accumulate over time, and if you consider the power of compound interest, you leave serious money on the table. But the good thing is, such a moment of shock can really encourage you to change something. I hope this approach will do the same for you as it did for me. But enough talking, let's dive right in. We will start with that Starbucks habit where you grab some coffee and something for lunch. I'm not going to Starbucks anymore. Oh, you're not at Starbucks? But the same applies to any small restaurant or cafe, no matter if it's close to the place you work or where you live. It's all the same as long as you leave your money on their counter. We will use the future value calculator to find out how much money is missing in your portfolio in 10 years from now. Link to the tool down below in the description. We set the present value at $0 because we will start with no money to our name. We will look at a period of 10 years because in 10 years we all want to be millionaires, right? And I do believe it's possible if you really want it. The historical rate of return after inflation is around 7%. At least for the S&P 500 and the MSCI World Index. Monthly compounding is just fine. So here will go the average daily spending on drinks and lunch, which is about $12. And I'm not guessing that number. If you sum up the amounts of buying drinks and lunch according to this 2019 USA Today article, you get $361 per month. Divide that total by 30 and you have a daily spending of $12. We assume that we spend the same amount every day without growth on 365 days per year. Now get ready for a surprise. We start the calculation. Your portfolio will be $63,353 smaller because of that one habit. Think about it. If you want to become a millionaire in 10 years from now, investing these $12 a day in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund will already get you 6.3% closer to that goal. The money saved on lunch and drinks could also be the down payment for your dream house. That would be nice. If you have a clearly defined goal and really want to achieve it, it's not that difficult to change that drinks and lunch habit, because the mere tip on that $12 expense would almost be enough to prepare lunch at home. Plus, you don't need to wait in line in a restaurant or cafe. You just enjoy your food and chat with colleagues. So to compound a daily expense over 10 years, you multiply it by 5,300. $12 times 5,300 equals round about $63,600. That's not the exact amount, but good enough to get you thinking about ways to save that money. If you have a buddy in mind that spends way too much money on food and drinks, please go on and share this video with him. Now that we have fixed the first bad habit, we'll go on to look at another non-essential expense that seems to be common practice these days. I'm talking about meeting your loved one or your friends to dine out in a restaurant or enjoy some take-home food. And it's not only Joe. A lot of you guys seem to do that multiple times per week. More than half of all Americans carry this habit. Sure, I understand it's convenient and enjoyable, and I'm not suggesting you should drop that habit completely. But let's quickly look at the financial side. If you reduce this habit to once every other week instead of 2 to 3 times per week, you can easily save $100 per week. Over the course of a year, that adds up to $5,200 that you spend on restaurants. But let's find out how much money you are missing in 10 years if you keep spending rather than investing it. The rate of return and the period stays the same. We change the amount to $100, and because we are thinking of a weekly expense, we change the number of payments to 52. Let's hit calculate again and be amazed that after 10 years there would be $75,000 more in your portfolio if you reduce this restaurant habit to a minimum. That are 7.5% of your total goal of $1 million. Combined with the lunch habit before, we already completed 13.8% of the whole way. The first steps are always the hardest, but Joe made it work, so you will too. Go for it, dude! If you want to compound a weekly expense over 10 years at a 7% return, just multiply it by 752. Quick example, you spend $20 on rideshares per week. Multiply that by 752 and be staggered that there are another $15,000 missing in your portfolio in 10 years. Maybe I should ride my bike for that hairdresser appointment. Or I cancel that appointment and cut them myself to save even more. And now it's time to hit that like button so that the algorithm gets going. That's important because more people need to be aware of the long-term effect of their non-essential expenses. Thank you guys. But let's get back to the next example, and believe me, that's a major one. We had a daily and a weekly expense so far, and now we will look at a huge monthly spending. That is going to be your car or your cars. For every person with a driver's license, there are 1.25 vehicles to drive around with. That makes the US one of the car craziest countries in the world. And to make matters worse, people in their 30s and 40s take out the biggest auto loans. Instead of building long-term wealth, they borrow a big load of money at sky-high interest rates to buy a brand new car that depreciates faster than they are allowed to drive. In June 2022, 12% of consumers committed to a car payment of $1,000 and above per month. Insurance and gas not included. Absolutely crazy. It's so mind-blowing because you can get a car in a perfectly safe and maintained condition for less than 1/3 of that. So let's dig in the financial side of this situation. Because you can get a reliable car for $300 per month, you are spending roughly $700 too much if you buy a new one. It's a monthly payment, so we change that number to 12. And now get ready for a really big number. A whopping $121,159 less in your portfolio in 10 years if you go with a brand new car right now. That would be another 12.1% on your journey to becoming a millionaire in 10 years. All three examples combined would get you $259,000 or 25.9% closer to your $1 million goal. And that were only a few ways to save some money. But I'm not paying $1,000 for my Mercedes. Sure, the impact is a bit smaller if you pay only $800 per month. But if you are serious about saving and investing, I would recommend you try to get your car-related expenses way down. Every dollar that goes beyond safe transport should be considered a luxury expense. If you want to compound a monthly expense over 10 years, again averaging 7% return, you have to multiply it by 173. Quick example for gym classes or memberships. If you pay the average $72 per month and multiply that by 173, you get round about $12,400 that are in the pockets of the gym owner instead of your portfolio. Of course, you shouldn't skip exercising, but you can get some used barbells, watch some free YouTube fitness videos, or go to a calisthenics park. That were a lot of numbers we've talked about. Let's quickly summarize this and then I'll reveal an additional trick for one-time expenses. Our main goal was to find out what a daily, weekly or monthly expense will be worth in 10 years if we cut it now and invest the money instead. A daily expense needs to be multiplied by 5,300. To compound a weekly expense over 10 years, you have to multiply it by 752. And a monthly expense needs to be multiplied by 173. The most important figure is the monthly multiple because most of your expenses get charged once a month. For example, your Netflix or Disney Plus subscription, your car payment, or your gym membership. So if you forget everything else I said, at least remember the multiple of 173 to compound a monthly expense over 10 years. Remember, multiply monthly expense by 173 to compound over 10 years. That's already half the battle. And now a little bonus. If you want to do the same for a one-time expense, like that expensive decorative furniture, you have to multiply it by 2. So buying that designer furniture for $2,000 today is like stealing $4,000 from your future self. With that said, I hope you start to think about some of your non-essential expenses and try to cut them down as much as possible. Please share this video with your friends and family if you learned something new. And please do me and your fellow humans a favor by hitting that like button so that the video gets shown to more people. Have a nice day and see you next time.